Well, hello, Genesis Church. For those who are viewing today that I have not yet met, my name is Doug Bach, and I have the honor of being the chairman of the board at Genesis Church, which really means I get to serve alongside 5 other very gifted individuals who also feel called to be on the board at Genesis. And our sole job is to support the ministries of Genesis staff, understand the covenants and bylaws, and make sure that we're meeting the needs of Genesis Church both now and in the future. So on behalf of the entire leadership team and Genesis staff, our very resilient Genesis staff, Pastor Ryan and I are excited to be here today to give you an update on some business items in the church, as well as give you an update as to where God is moving among us in this church and maybe what we have in store as we move into 2021. So let me get started. I have 4 topics to cover. I'm going to cover 2 real quickly and then let Pastor Ryan give an update on church, and then I'm going to come back and finish out on 2 more items. So number 1 for me, our PPP loan status. We applied for the PPP loan, which came from the government out of the CARES Act related to the global pandemic that we're in. And the great news is we were allowed to apply for 8 weeks of the combined Genesis staff salaries, rent, and utilities, which equaled about $42,000. And the fantastic news is we were actually awarded a check for that amount. So that's fantastic, but it's a loan. So we wanted to wait to see if the loan would be forgiven, meaning we don't have to pay it back, because we didn't want to have another expense at Genesis Church. Well, the blessing is we have just learned that we have been 100% forgiven, so praise God. So now we can use that money in our general budget to help us continue to do the ministries that we need to do, because we have fallen short in our giving, which is my second topic. So let me cover our giving. We put together a budget every year with Genesis staff, with leadership team, and with others. And this year we put together a budget of where we need to collect every week and every month, combined in a monthly basis, about $27,100. Unfortunately, since our fiscal year started June 1st until the end of November, we have fallen short roughly $5,000 every month. So rather than having collected in our general giving and tithing $163,000 roughly, we've fallen about $34,000 short. So this impacts our ability to do ministry. But boy, what a blessing to have received this PPP loan from the government at a time when we really need it, because we're just showing such a deficit. So I'll come back in a moment and talk a little bit about some other things that are happening from business items. Please be praying about continuing to give generously to Genesis Church, especially as we get to the end of our calendar year, and so we can continue to do the great things that we're doing. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Pastor Ryan. I'll be right back.
Thanks, Doug. As Doug mentioned, we have had some interesting challenges the last 9 months, both financially and otherwise. However, it has been amazing to see how God has shown up and enabled us to continue to further the mission of Genesis, to see changed lives, changing lives. Upon the closure of our state back in March, staff and volunteers immediately scrambled to figure out how to move all of our services online. And while it hasn't been perfect and we continue to tweak the process, we're now able to do both online and in-person services seamlessly. The commitment of so many to see this happen has been inspiring, to say the least. Since then, we're able to hold numerous midweek worship services and online prayer meetings and classes. In the spring, we held our first online Thrive class for 14 people, and of those 14, 5 have since become new members of Genesis. Ultimately, I am so proud of our staff, the numerous volunteers, our leadership team, who've helped to create a new way of doing church in the middle of a pandemic. And in addition, your continued support, your prayer, your attendance, your giving has been so helpful in enabling us to do what God is calling us to do. And so as we look forward to 2021, we're hoping to see new things. We want to continue to grow and make an impact in our community. And so I would ask 2 things of you as we come to the end of this year. The first is this: continue to stay close to Jesus. In all that has gone on in the past year, it can be easy to lose touch with him. Spend time with him, walk with him, continue to pursue him. Nothing is as important as this. And then second, continue to support Genesis. Your prayer and your generosity to Genesis is greatly appreciated. And for us to continue to do the good work he's called us to, we need your continued support. And if you haven't already, I would encourage you to pray about how you might be able to give toward our year-end giving initiative. We're hoping that the gifts that come from it will help to cover most, if not all, of the gap in our giving so we can enter 2021 with momentum. It is an honor to be your pastor and to be the pastor of Genesis Church. Now back to Doug.
Okay, so let me now just briefly cover two other areas, business topics in the church. The first is the sale of the restaurant, Original Breakfast House, to John Stidham. I want to thank the LLC board led by Craig Barnes for helping with that sale and working with our mortgage lender, National Covenant Properties. So basically, we sold that asset, and those proceeds would normally go back to National Covenant Properties to pay down the overall debt, the mortgage that we owe. In the case of us not meeting our weekly and monthly tithing and giving amounts, and that impacting our ministry, and also the LLC needing to do some improvements to the property, we asked if National Covenant Properties would allow us to keep that money, and in fact, they graciously agreed to that. So we have been able to use that money in the LLC to do things like resurface the parking lot, which was much needed, to improve the signage around the areas on both Thunderbird and also on 32nd Street. So now we can showcase our tenants, we can advertise that we have open spaces, we can now display things that are coming on up there so people driving by can say, hey, here's an upcoming event that I can attend at Genesis Church, the community center, or Solid Rock. So really exciting. We also painted some areas outside the property. We improved the tenant spaces that are open, hoping that it'll attract some tenants to come and sign up to be with us in this community center. And then turning to Genesis, we asked for a portion of that money to do some things that we don't have budget for, and that includes replacing some broken furniture, updating some old flooring that's worn out, adding cabinets to the kids' room, and really updating the overall online experience with our streaming. So you'll notice you're starting to see better sound quality and things get much better with our online. And that looks like that's not going to go away. So that was much needed. So that totaled $51,000. We're just starting to spend that money, and you'll start to see those improvements soon. So let me talk real quickly now about the last thing, the generous gift that we received from Christ Church of the Valley. This came completely out of the blue for us. Basically, Christ Church of the Valley had money that they wanted to give to churches. So Pastor Ryan and Pastor Joe met with CCV, talked about our vision and mission, and they gifted us $100,000. What a blessing. That money is sitting in an account. We do not intend to use it in the short term. We hope and pray that we can use that money for outward events, events to bring people in our community through our programs, through Solid Rock programs. So our desire is post-COVID, hopefully in the next coming months as we start to deliver vaccines, that we can start to meet again. We hope to hold a fundraising event with the community and local businesses to triple that money, to really have a large impact on our ability to change things at Genesis and some of the programs that we're offering to the community. So definitely be praying about that. So I'll just close with encouragement. Thank you all for your continued prayers. Thank you for supporting and loving on one another. Keep doing that. And also, I'll just say, be bold in your faith. There's never been times in our lives where we need to be more outward about our faith and bring people into a relationship with Jesus Christ. And we do that by modeling our love for Jesus Christ and the way we treat others. So thank you. You guys are doing a fantastic job. Keep it up. Love you.